The ancient secret that creates magnetic attraction in chaos. There's a psychological phenomenon happening right now that's driving modern women absolutely wild with desire, and it's based on principles that Marcus Aurelius wrote about 1800 years ago in his private journal. While most men are desperately trying to impress women through flashy displays, emotional availability, and constant validation, the men who embody Stoic principles are creating an almost supernatural level of attraction that operates below conscious awareness. This isn't about playing hard to get or using manipulation tactics. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally generates what psychologists call magnetic presence through emotional mastery, unshakable confidence, and philosophical depth that stands in stark contrast to the emotional chaos and psychological fragility that characterizes most modern men. The irresistible attraction that Stoic men create isn't accidental. It's the inevitable result of embodying psychological principles that directly address the deepest unconscious needs and desires that modern women experience but can rarely articulate. In a world where women are constantly bombarded with emotional instability, reactive behavior, and needy validation seeking from men, the Stoic represents something rare and precious, a man who has achieved genuine emotional sovereignty and inner strength that feels like a fortress of stability in a chaotic world. Marcus Aurelius, writing as the most powerful man in the ancient world, understood something about masculine psychology that most modern men have completely forgotten. True attractiveness comes not from what you do to get women's attention, but from who you become when you're completely focused on your own character development and philosophical growth. His Meditations wasn't written to attract women. It was his private practice of becoming the kind of man whose very presence commanded respect, admiration, and yes, deep attraction from everyone around him. Have you ever noticed that the men who seem most desperately focused on attracting women are often the least successful, while the men who appear completely indifferent to female attention seem to effortlessly draw women toward them? The first Stoic principle that creates irresistible attraction is what Marcus Aurelius called emotional invulnerability, the capacity to remain internally stable, regardless of external circumstances, including women's emotional tests, social pressure, or relationship drama. Modern women, whether they realize it or not, are constantly testing men's emotional stability through various forms of chaos, conflict, and emotional intensity. Most men fail these tests by becoming reactive, defensive, or eager to please. The Stoic man passes these tests not through calculation or strategy, but through genuine emotional mastery that has been developed through years of philosophical practice and self-discipline. When a woman creates drama, he remains centered. When she tests his boundaries, he maintains them without anger or explanation. When she seeks validation, he offers his presence without needing anything in return. This emotional invulnerability creates what psychologists call secure attachment feelings that modern women desperately crave but rarely experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about developing immunity to others' emotional states while maintaining compassion and engagement. This combination, caring without being controlled, engaging without being destabilized, creates a psychological environment where women feel both challenged and safe, excited and secure. The Stoic man becomes like a mountain, unmovable by storms, but providing shelter and strength to those who seek it. The second principle that makes Stoic men irresistible is what Aurelius called focus on the essential, the ability to distinguish between what matters and what doesn't, and to direct energy only toward things within their control. Modern men waste enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy worrying about women's opinions, trying to predict their reactions, and attempting to control outcomes in relationships. This creates an anxious, needy energy that women find repulsive even when they can't consciously identify why. Stoic men operate from what philosophers call internal locus of control. They focus entirely on their own character, actions, and choices, while remaining genuinely indifferent to outcomes they can't control. This creates a paradoxical effect where their indifference to controlling women's responses actually makes them more attractive. Women sense that these men have important missions and purposes that don't revolve around female validation, which triggers deep biological and psychological attraction patterns. Marcus Aurelius exemplified this principle by remaining focused on his duties as emperor, his philosophical development, and his character growth regardless of political pressures, social expectations, or personal relationships. This unwavering focus on essential priorities created a gravitational pull that drew people toward him, not because he sought their attention, but because his centered presence offered something rare and valuable in a chaotic world. Can you think of times when you were most attractive to women? Were these moments when you were desperately trying to impress them, or when you were completely absorbed in pursuing something meaningful and important to you? The third Stoic principle that generates irresistible attraction is what Aurelius termed philosophical depth and perspective. Modern men typically engage with women through surface-level conversations about entertainment, gossip, emotions, or immediate practical concerns. The Stoic man operates from a deeper level of understanding about human nature, existence, and meaning that creates conversations and interactions that feel profound and transformative rather than trivial and forgettable. This philosophical depth isn't intellectual showing off or pretentious displays of knowledge. It's genuine wisdom about life that emerges naturally from years of studying human nature, contemplating existence, and developing character through challenge and adversity. When women interact with Stoic men, they feel intellectually and spiritually elevated in ways that create powerful psychological bonds and deep respect that goes far beyond physical attraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote about seeing life from cosmic perspective, understanding human dramas and emotions within the context of universal principles and eternal truths. This perspective creates a calming, centering effect on others, while also demonstrating the kind of mental and spiritual development that women unconsciously recognize as extremely rare and valuable. The Stoic man doesn't get lost in temporary emotions or immediate concerns because he operates from timeless wisdom. The fourth principle that makes Stoic men magnetically attractive is what Aurelius called strength through discipline, the development of physical, mental, and spiritual power through consistent daily practices and voluntary hardship. Modern men often seek comfort, convenience, and immediate gratification, which creates soft, undisciplined energy that women find sexually and romantically unappealing, even when these men are otherwise successful or attractive. Stoic men embrace what ancient philosophers called the discipline of desire. They train themselves to want less, need less, and expect less from external sources while developing internal resources for strength, satisfaction, and meaning. This creates a self-contained, powerful presence that doesn't require anything from women or anyone else to maintain its integrity and vitality. The discipline extends into all areas of life. Physical fitness maintained not for vanity, but for character development. Intellectual growth pursued not for social status, but for wisdom, and emotional training practiced not for others' benefit, but for personal excellence. Women unconsciously recognize this disciplined strength as the foundation of reliable masculine energy that can provide protection, leadership, and support without depleting itself through neediness or weakness. Have you experienced the difference in how women respond to you when you're operating from disciplined strength versus when you're feeling needy, scattered, or seeking validation from external sources? The fifth Stoic principle that creates powerful attraction is what Marcus Aurelius described as service without attachment, the capacity to give generously of time, energy, and resources without expecting reciprocation or becoming resentful when appreciation isn't expressed. Modern men often engage in covert contracts where they provide value to women while unconsciously expecting specific responses, attention, or appreciation in return. Stoic men serve others, including women, from genuine abundance and philosophical commitment to virtue rather than from neediness or expectation of reward. This creates relationships where women feel genuinely cared for without feeling obligated, manipulated, or pressured. The absence of expectation or hidden agenda creates psychological safety that allows women to respond authentically rather than defensively. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about performing duties and showing kindness without attachment to results or recognition. This principle, when applied to relationships, creates interactions that feel pure and generous rather than calculated or transactional. Women can sense when men are giving in order to get something versus when they're giving from genuine abundance and virtue. The practical application of these Stoic principles requires understanding that developing irresistible attraction isn't about learning techniques or strategies to manipulate women's responses. It's about becoming the kind of man whose character and presence naturally generate respect, admiration, and desire through authentic personal development and philosophical growth. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that this development takes years of consistent daily practice. Modern men seeking quick fixes or instant results will find Stoic principles frustrating because they require genuine character transformation rather than surface-level behavioral changes. However, men who commit to this path of development often report that the attraction they generate feels effortless and natural rather than forced or strategic. The Stoic approach to relationships also means accepting that not all women will be attracted to these qualities. Women who are primarily seeking emotional drama, validation of their reactivity, or men they can control and manipulate will often find Stoic men boring or challenging. This natural selection process serves both parties by creating compatibility with women who appreciate mature masculine energy while filtering out those seeking unhealthy relationship dynamics. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to develop the kind of authentic masculine presence that creates natural attraction through character development rather than manipulation or performance. Like this video, if you believe that true attractiveness comes from becoming genuinely excellent rather than trying to impress others. Share this content with someone who's tired of dating strategies and wants to understand how philosophical development creates magnetic presence. The development of Stoic attractiveness requires specific daily practices that Marcus Aurelius outlined in his personal writings. These include morning reflection on character and priorities, evening review of actions and decisions, regular study of philosophical principles, physical challenges that build discipline, and conscious practice of emotional regulation during daily interactions. The philosopher emphasized that these practices must be pursued for their own sake, rather than as means to achieve attraction or success with women. The paradox of Stoic attractiveness is that it only works when it's genuinely authentic, when men actually embody these principles rather than performing them strategically. Women have unconscious radar for detecting authentic versus performed strength and depth. The practical results of developing genuine Stoic character often surprise men who pursue this path. They find that their need for female validation decreases significantly, while their actual attractiveness to quality women increases dramatically. They become selective about relationships because they're no longer willing to compromise their peace and purpose for romantic drama or emotional chaos. This selectivity itself becomes attractive to women who are seeking mature, stable masculine energy rather than the emotional roller coaster that characterizes most modern relationships. Stoic men often find themselves in the position of having to choose between multiple high-quality options rather than struggling to generate any interest at all. The broader implications of embracing Stoic principles extend far beyond romantic attraction into all areas of life, including career success, friendship quality, and personal satisfaction. The same character traits that make men irresistible to women also make them effective leaders, reliable friends, and fulfilled individuals who contribute meaningfully to their communities and society. Marcus Aurelius understood that developing philosophical character served purposes much larger than personal benefit. The man who embodies Stoic principles becomes a stabilizing force in his family, social circle, and community. His presence creates calm in chaos, wisdom in confusion, and strength in adversity that benefits everyone around him. Your own experience of feeling most attractive and confident when you're focused on your own growth and development rather than on impressing others reflects the timeless truth that Marcus Aurelius discovered. Authentic power attracts, while neediness repels. Internal strength creates external magnetism, and character development generates natural charisma that no technique or strategy can replicate. The ultimate insight from Marcus Aurelius's approach to masculine development is that irresistible attraction isn't something you do. It's something you become through years of philosophical practice, character development, and disciplined growth. The modern women who are drawn to Stoic men aren't responding to performance or manipulation. They're responding to the rare experience of encountering a man who has achieved genuine emotional mastery and inner strength. The Stoic path requires patience, discipline, and commitment to character development for its own sake, rather than for the attraction it creates. But for men willing to pursue this ancient wisdom with genuine dedication, the result is not just romantic success, but a life of meaning, purpose, and authentic power that serves both personal fulfillment and the benefit of everyone they encounter.